Today, as we come to our time in the Word, we're going to be looking at the story of Lazarus. It's found in John chapter 11, verses 1 through 45. But since that's so long, I'm not going to be able to read all of that in service today. So what I want us to just think about really is that Lazarus has passed away, and he's been in the grave a couple of days as Jesus has made his way from one city to Bethany to come to the family's home. Jesus was very close friends with Lazarus. Martha and Mary were his sisters, and Jesus had stayed there several times. He had had fellowship and dinner there with his disciples, and so he comes to Bethany, just outside of their home, where Martha actually comes from the home and comes out to meet him. And I want to pick up reading in verse 20 with their conversation. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him, while Mary remained in the house. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died. Even now I know that whatever you ask God, God will give you." Jesus told her, "Your brother will rise again." And Martha replied, "I know that he will rise in the resurrection on the last day." And Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me will live even though they die. Everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She replied, "Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Christ, God's Son, the one who is coming into the world." After she had said this, she went and spoke privately to her sister Mary. Then Mary comes out to see Jesus and has a brief conversation with Jesus. And it's then that we find that passage that is famous. It's the smallest verse in all of Scripture. It's John 11:35. And Jesus wept. And let us begin reading from right there. The Jews said, "See how much he loved him." But some of them said, "He healed the eyes of the man born blind. Couldn't he have kept Lazarus from dying?" And Jesus was deeply disturbed again, and he came into the tomb. It was a cave and a small covered entrance. Jesus said, "Remove the stone." And Martha, the sister of the dead man, said, "Lord, the smell will be awful. He's been dead for 4 days." And Jesus replied, "Didn't I tell you that if you believe me, you will see God's glory?" So they removed the stone. Jesus looked up and said, "Father, thank you for hearing me. I know you always hear me. I say this for the benefit of the crowd standing here, so they too will believe that you sent me." Having said this, Jesus shouted with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come forth!" The dead man came out, his feet bound and his hands tied, and his face covered with a cloth. And Jesus said to them, "Untie him and let him go." Therefore many of the Jews who came with Mary and saw what Jesus did believed in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done.